new doctors' strike begins. How will it end?
What do we want?
Pay restoration.
When do we want it?
Now.
The BMA walkout will last 6 days. Resident doctors, once known as junior doctors, are striking over pay, but at what cost to patient safety and the NHS?
We feel like we've had no choice but to call for further action.
This government has done everything we can to negotiate a deal in good faith.
Also ahead, the world waits to see what the White House will do about Iran. It's President Trump's latest deadline day. Will he step away from his threats to take out the country in one night?
In terms of people here, they've got a view that President Trump makes lots of very inflammatory comments and doesn't always follow through on them. But many people are extremely concerned.
The tourists versus TUI. Nearly 2,000 Brits who fell ill in Cape Verde are taking legal action against the holiday firm. Plus,
to all of you down there on Earth, we love you from the moon.
And back, the Artemis 4 are heading home.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hossain.
Good afternoon. Resident doctors today began a 6-day walkout. It is the 15th time they are going on strike in the space of 3 years. They want more job opportunities and more pay, they say, to make up for years of wage erosion. But the BMA last month rejected a deal which included a 4.9% uplift. The Health Secretary insists that would have left medics 35% better off than they were 4 years ago. West Streeting has called the strikes disappointing and quickly took off the table an offer of 1,000 extra training places. He warned the cost of covering this week's shortages will hit hospital budgets, but he promised that urgent and emergency care will run as usual. More now from our reporter Hannah Kings.
What do we want?
Pay restoration.
When do we want it?
Now.
Resident doctors back on the picket lines. Their latest round of strikes began this morning and will last until Monday. The NHS says it is working to minimise disruption, but the walkout will mean some patients have appointments cancelled. Charlie was diagnosed with scoliosis last year and needs urgent surgery on his spine. Having already spent months on waiting lists, he was due to attend a consultation on Thursday, but it's been cancelled and rescheduled for 4 months' time.
I can see the operation in sight, and now that goalpost has been moved. I can see he's deteriorated from when he was first diagnosed.
The hospital hasn't confirmed Charlie's appointment was cancelled because of the strikes, but his mum Jenny believes they were a factor.
We all want a decent wage. Half of me agrees with it. The other half is I can see my son in pain every day, and that's what I can't cope with that.
This is the 15th strike by resident doctors in 3 years, as a long-running dispute over pay and jobs remains unresolved. Most recently, the government offered a 4.9% pay increase between this year and next. Their original proposal also included an extra 1,000 training places, although that has now been withdrawn. Those striking accused the government of having moved the goalposts when negotiations were progressing.
We need more doctors in the NHS, but also you have to stop the exodus of doctors leaving the NHS by valuing them, by paying them appropriately.
The Health Secretary says the government's pay offer is fair.
This government has done everything we can to negotiate a deal in good faith against the constraints we have with the public finances, our responsibility to other NHS staff and our responsibility to taxpayers.
In spite of the demonstrations, patients who need care are being urged to come forward as normal. But it's estimated this strike will cost the NHS around £300 million. And patients like Charlie know the impacts go far beyond that. Hannah Kings, ITV News.
And you can read more about the doctors' strike and how it affects you on our website. That's itv.com/news. Plus, there's further coverage on ITVX and the ITV News YouTube page. Next, Donald Trump has said he is not at all concerned about committing possible war crimes in Iran after once again threatening to destroy the country's bridges and power plants if the Strait of Hormuz is not fully reopened. In a press conference, the US president said he was extending a deadline for that to happen to 8 p.m. tonight, Washington time, and he warned of serious consequences if Tehran does not comply.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen.
As that deadline approaches, Iranian officials this morning issued a fresh threat of their own. They warned that if the US follows through on infrastructure attacks, America and its allies would be deprived of oil and gas from the region for years. And they have rejected a 45-day ceasefire proposal, instead demanding a permanent end to the war. In the meantime, though, the destruction continues. Our international editor, Emma Murphy, is in Tehran and has this analysis.
This is Sharif University in Tehran. It was struck yesterday and is one of hundreds of educational institutes that have been hit over the past weeks. And the sense here is that this is an attack not just on a building, but it is an attack on the future of this country because it affects the education of the youth. But equally pressing now is the immediate future and what the next 24 hours hold, because of course we are running up to the deadline that President Trump struck to manage to agree some kind of a deal with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. And his words were very clear. If a deal could not be reached, all hell would be unleashed on this country. He added to those yesterday by saying that if there was no deal, there would be no power plants and no bridges left. Of course, under international law, hitting civilian infrastructure is a war crime. Now, where this goes, it's hard to know. There is a huge diplomatic push going on, but at the moment, it doesn't seem like there has been huge success. Both sides have put their proposals to the other, and neither has accepted. But Pakistan, who are doing an awful lot of work on this, are continuing to try and find some middle ground, to try and find a way that this could be brought to a rather more reasonable conclusion than the rhetoric that we've heard over the past couple of days. It is difficult to know whether that's going to happen. In terms of people here, they've got a view that President Trump makes lots of very inflammatory comments and doesn't always follow through on them. But many people are extremely concerned about what the coming hours might hold.
Emma Murphy reporting there from Tehran. Back here, there are rising fears over what the continuing conflict could mean for inflation rates. That's especially true among graduates because of the way student loan repayments are calculated. Now the government has announced a 6% cap on interest for those with Plan 2 and Plan 3 loans. That's most who went to university since 2012. Our political reporter Jasmine Cameron-Chileshi is in Westminster. Jasmine, take us through today's announcement.
These changes will be seen as small progress among many of the campaign groups that have really been putting pressure on the government over the levels of interest charged on these loans. As you say, these changes will impact those on Plan 2, so that means people in England and Wales who took out undergraduate loans between September 2012 and July 2023. The changes will also impact those on Plan B, so individuals with postgraduate, masters or doctorate loans. Now, at the moment, the interest rate is set at the retail price index plus 3%. Obviously, that depends on earnings. But from September, no one on Plan 2 or 3 will have to pay more than 6% of interest on that loan. Now, the government says that this change will reduce the risk that any temporary increase in inflation caused by the conflict in the Middle East will result in loan balances compounding at unsustainable levels.
This is just to give graduates a bit of certainty about the interest rates that will be charged. We know this isn't a silver bullet for solving all of the problems with the student loan system that we inherited from the last government, and we'll continue to look at ways that we can support particularly students and graduates from low incomes.
Now, the question of how to reform the student loan system has been the subject of lots of political debate here in Westminster. The Tories say they would cap interest charge to RPI only, which is around 3.8%. The Lib Dems said they would reverse the 3-year freeze on the salary threshold for loan repayments. But certainly today's announcement is going to reignite the debate about the fairness of the current system, as well as who should bear the final costs for higher education.
Jasmine, thank you very much, and apologies for the problems with the sound there. 3 gunmen have attacked a building housing the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. Video from the attack showed one assailant carrying what appeared to be an assault rifle. Turkish officials say the attackers opened fire at police, sparking a gunfight that left one dead. The 2 other assailants were also injured and have been detained. Rapper Kanye West has offered to meet the British Jewish community after a furious backlash to the decision to make him the headline act of a music festival. Tickets have just gone on sale for Wireless, but the event has faced mounting pressure, including from sponsors after the top billing was revealed. That is because of previous anti-Semitic comments made by the performer now known as Ye. Our entertainment reporter Rishi Davda is here. What did Kanye West say today, Rishi?
Well, he's put out this statement following the outrage that came after the announcement that he was going to headline Wireless Festival. I can take you through it. West wrote, "My only goal is to come to London and present a show of change, bringing unity, peace and love through my music. I would be grateful for the opportunity to meet with members of the Jewish community in the UK in person to listen. I know words aren't enough. I'll have to show change through my actions." He then finished off by saying, "If you're open, I'm here." Well, the Board of Deputies of British Jews, a community organisation, has said that they will agree to meet with Kanye West, but only if he pulls out of performing at Wireless Festival in July. For a number of years, West, who's 48, has caused upset and anger after making many anti-Semitic, racist and pro-Nazi comments. He released a song called Hail Hitler and sold merchandise featuring the swastika. He apologised in January for his previous actions, blaming manic episodes caused by bipolar disorder, and has since come back into the mainstream and is currently touring. Wireless Festival organiser and promoter Melvin Benn defended booking West for all 3 nights and encouraged people to offer the rapper forgiveness. Festival sponsors have already pulled out following the backlash. Pre-sale tickets have now gone on sale, while we understand the Home Office is reviewing Kanye West's permission to enter the UK.
Okay, Rishi Davda, thank you very much. Thank you. Next, parents are being told to treat their children's online privacy in the same way they would treat road safety. It comes as 3 in 4 parents admit that they worry their child cannot make safe choices about their online privacy. That is according to new research from the Information Commissioner's Office. It shows 35% of parents believe their child would share personal information in exchange for game tokens or rewards, and 24% of children have shared their real name or address online. The ICO say 8 and 9-year-olds are most at risk, and yet the survey shows around 20% of parents have never spoken to their child about online privacy. The ICO want families to have simple conversations with their children about protecting their personal information. Joining me now is the Deputy Commissioner of the ICO, Emily Keeney. Thank you very much for coming to talk to me. What exactly should parents be telling their children, would you advise?
Thank you, lovely to be here. We know that this is a complicated area. We are asking parents to think about 3 key things. That's chat, have those conversations, build them into your day-to-day lives. Choose, so when your children get a new device or download a new app, sit down with them and look at those privacy settings together so you know and are confident about what information is being shared and who with, and check back in, both with the conversations, so it's not a one and done, but also with those privacy settings, and make sure that they're still the ones that you agreed on.
Emily, as adults, as parents, we're not very good at protecting our own information online. Are we really the best people to educate our children on this?
So we do know that not all parents feel confident about doing this. We have produced a web hub, which is ico.org.uk/switched on. It's got loads of resources in there. It's got hints and tips from other parents. So it's a really good way of helping parents think about how they have these conversations. We also, though, want to reassure parents that this is not all on their shoulders. We all have a role to play. It's a shared responsibility. And as the regulator, we're working really hard to make sure that the organisations are building in privacy to their sites and services. And where that's not good enough, where we're not happy that that's in line with the legal requirements, we're taking action, including fines where necessary.
Okay, what about though in terms of that's something for the future in terms of trying to take action, and as a regulator that is obviously your main role. If we're comparing it to road safety, isn't it the government's responsibility right now, if we're comparing it to something as simple as how to cross the road safely, there's an information campaign, not something you have to find online, but some content that you flood the internet with to show people what they shouldn't be saying online.
Yeah, we're absolutely doing that. So we don't just have the web hub, we are sharing content on programmes like this, across social media. We're working with a wide range of partners, including people like the NSPCC and Mumset, to help get that message and that support for parents out. So we've already taken action. We'll continue to take action as the regulator. This is going to be an ongoing priority for us. And we're making sure that that message and that support and the confidence for parents to have these simple conversations is out there in lots of different places that parents might find it.
Okay, Emily Keeney, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
A law firm says more than 1,700 UK tourists have come forward after the deaths of at least 8 British people apparently struck down with stomach bugs on Cape Verde. They are taking legal action against the travel company TUI. The holiday firm insists customer safety is its top priority. Our reporter Carrie Davis joins me now. What do we know at this stage, Carrie?
Well, it was revealed in 2023 that hundreds of people were suing TUI over this issue, and that number has just grown and grown since then. Lawyers from the firm, Irwin Mitchell, who are leading the personal injury claim, say that they continue to be contacted by people who've been affected by serious illness while on holiday on Cape Verde. Among the British tourists who have died is Mark Ashley. He's seen here on the left of this photo. He travelled to Cape Verde with his family last October. His wife Emma says he became violently ill, never recovered. It was 3 days into their holiday when he started experiencing stomach pains, diarrhoea, vomiting, fever. And when he came back to the UK, he collapsed at home, was taken to hospital and died shortly after. Cape Verde is a really popular holiday destination. It's got sandy beaches, it's warm all year round. More than 1 million tourists have travelled there with TUI since 2022. The UK Health Security Agency said in February that it was investigating cases of severe bowel infection called Shigella and Salmonella linked to travel to the island and warned against travelling there. A TUI spokesperson told ITV News that the travel company is deeply saddened by these reports. In a statement, they said, "While we cannot comment on individual cases, customer health and safety is always our highest priority. We've established procedures in place to support any customer who becomes unwell while on holiday, including access to inappropriate medical care and assistance in resort." It is important to say, though, that the company hasn't accepted any liability.
Carrie Davis, thank you. The UK is expected to see the warmest weather of the year so far today. Temperatures are expected to reach the low 20s and will touch 25 degrees in southeast England. A band of rain will then bring temperatures back down to average. And the price of stamps has risen again for the 8th time in 6 years. A first-class stamp now costs £1.80. Royal Mail said the increase was a result of fewer letters being sent, but to more addresses. And finally, Artemis 2 is this lunchtime on its way back towards Earth after taking its crew further from our planet than any humans have ever been before. The NASA mission is said to have left the crew giddy, with the spacecraft briefly losing contact with mission control as it travelled behind the far side of our lunar neighbour. Faye Barker now on the astronauts who saw the whole of the moon.
of you down there on Earth, we love you from the moon.
The moment the crew of Artemis 2's mission to the moon temporarily lost contact with Earth.
Houston copies. We'll see you on the other side.
The 40-minute outage was expected as they travelled behind the moon. Just 4,000 miles above the lunar surface, they could then take photos and record observations, sights never before seen by human eyes.
Houston, we have you the same, and it is so great to hear from Earth again.
Once back in contact, they had a call from the President.
Today you've made history and made all America really proud, incredibly proud. We have a lot of things to be proud of lately, but this is there's nothing like what you're doing, circling around the moon for the first time in more than a half a century.
They also answered questions about their experience from more regular space fans.
I'm not ready to go home. I can't believe that something this cramped of quarters can fly by and still be fun every single minute.
Humans have to go, we've got to explore, we've got to go further to expand our knowledge, expand our horizons.
There have been touching moments too, including when the crew named one of the moon's craters after Commander Reed Wiseman's late wife.
A number of years ago, we started this journey in our close-knit astronaut family, and we lost a loved one. And there's a feature in a really neat place on the moon, and we would like to call it Carol, and you spell that C-A-R-R-O-L-L.
They're also the first to witness a solar eclipse from the moon, as they now start their journey back home. Faye Barker, ITV News.
That's all from us for now. Mary will be here with the evening news at 6:30 from everyone on the Lunchtime team. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.